What is going on, everybody? This is how I made $4,595 day trading NASDAQ today. So as you can see, I'm logged in on my AMP Live account, right? AMP Live, P&L, $4,595. So I want to walk you through and show you how I got my bias for the day, what I used to enter and exit these positions, right? You can see there's multiple trades, and then how I managed the positions and how I exited. So let's go ahead and let's dive in, right? You can see here I took multiple trades, and the first one was break even, right? So I took a break even trade. The next one was a loss, so one loss, and then I had one winner to end the day and come out green on the day for about $4,000 or $5,000. So let's go ahead, let's dive in, right? On the daily chart up here, you can see, right? You can see here on Monday, and this is how I got my bias. You can see on Monday, right, we're just consolidating on Monday. Same thing kind of on Tuesday. We sweep the high, but kind of stay in this range. And then on Wednesday, we come down and sweep out and make the low of the week, right? So let's go ahead and mark that out. Here's Wednesday making the low of the week, and then we see expansion higher, right? So that is how I got my bias, right? And if you go on a 4-hour chart, you can actually see this in more detail. If you go on the 4-hour chart, you can see that same move in more detail. So we have accumulation, right? Then we come down on Wednesday, sweep out these lows, make the low of the week right here, and then we see price expand to the upside for the rest of the week. And so that's why I was bullish for the day. That's why I want to see moves or price expand to the upside, because Wednesday, or the weekly profile, was a midweek reversal, right? So we reversed on a Wednesday, middle of the week right here. And this is just like a higher time frame power 3. You have accumulation, manipulation, and then you see the distribution to the upside. That's why I was bullish, right? As simple as that. So I was just looking to carry that and trade that order flow and get on side with where the price wanted to move on the higher time frames. And so this is kind of where it brings me into my first trade, right? I saw, if you go on a 1 hour now, I saw we came up right here and price opens up. If I cut on the daily candle, you can see price opens up, right, at 1800 for the new day on Friday. And we create this imbalance here, and we stay in the upper half of this imbalance right here. So I like that. And then you have 8:30 news that came out today. So 8:30, you have an FP week. So we have a couple 8:30 things that are released. Non-farm employment change, whatever you want to call it, was released at 8:30. And that's why you see this expansive move right here to the upside. Okay. So if we drop down and I mark out previous day's high, okay, you can see we took that out and we're using these discount arrays to move price higher. So we just tagged Thursday's high, and I was watching price, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning at this time. I'm like, okay, we just tagged that high. I kind of want to see if I can get a scalp off this level right here to the downside, right? And maybe we might get some kind of retracement into the week before moving higher. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to try and get a scalp to the downside. And this brings me to my first trade. Executions on the chart, right? You can see we hit that higher time frame key level, which is Thursday's high. And there's an imbalance right here overlapping with it, right? And so you can see price comes up, hits that level, and then comes back inside the range and closes below this imbalance right here. And so when we closed below, I was like, okay, maybe it's time to look for a short scalp, right, to the downside. And we're getting close to 9:30 open. So that was my volatility injection that I was looking to kind of play off of. Maybe have some kind of 9:30 Judas swing to the downside that I could capture before looking for longs, right? And so we closed below this imbalance. So that, boom, light bulb goes off in my head. We just swept buy side liquidity from yesterday's high, previous day's high. And now we've disrespected this imbalance. And we also have a change in state of delivery right here, right, designated by this blue line here. And so when price came down and closed below, like it does right here on this candle, that's when I was like, great. Now that we've closed below, I'm just going to mark it in my size, and stop is going to go above this high, right? So I got in at 101, right around here. Stop went above this high. And I was shooting for a fixed 3R. So like right basically there. And as you can see, right, we can actually come up, close below, and price kind of does its thing. And we actually hit this imbalance one more time. So it came up, I was in drawdown, hit this imbalance, and then it tanked right here. And so if I was shooting for like a 2R, you can see I would have, let's see, I wouldn't have even gotten it, right? But I was looking for a 3R. I wanted price to go a little bit lower. And so I didn't get it. And when price came down below this swing low off this imbalance, below this low right here, that's when I moved my stop, break even. And as you can see, boom, got stopped out for break even as it retraced back on me right here. So that was my break even trade. I was looking for a fixed 3R off this previous day's high right here. And you can see it, messes around with that imbalance right here. And then the next trade is a little embarrassing, right? I was like, okay, well, obviously price isn't ready to, doesn't want to go any lower than this, right? So it looks like now it's ready to move higher. And we've just now disrespected these imbalances, right? This imbalance right here, price comes up, and we have now formed this down close candle right here. And this is where, right, I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Let me hide this, it's getting a little messy. I'm not perfect, right? I still make trading mistakes. I still sometimes FOMO in or get upset at my trades, right? Because on this move, you can see I sold at 101, and as price was coming down, I was up like $11,000, $10,000 at one point in a matter of minutes, right? From this move right here. And so when price came all the way back up and stopped me out for break even, I went from being up 10 grand to break even again. And so I still am trying to get better at not letting that affect me. But as you can see right here, what I did was got stopped out for break even. Price comes down, hits this imbalance, right? And it stays in the upper half of this imbalance right here. And then when we closed above this down close candle, I said, okay, market ordering in. And so it closed and I bought, right, 10 contracts right here. Stop was below this low. So I put a limit here, stop here, and I was shooting for a fixed 3R as well on this trade. So it got filled right there. And then 2 minutes later, I'm stopped out for about, I think, was it $5,000-ish dollars? So I got stopped out here, 1R. So I'm negative 1R on the day. And I was like, okay, well, is it time to reevaluate? Is it time to step away? Because I've now taken one loss and I have one break-even trade. So I'm negative 1R on the day. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to see what happens. And we come back down and we sweep this low, right? We sweep this low and close back inside the range, as you can see with these candles right here. So the wicks are doing the damage here, but the bodies are telling the story, right? We're not displacing below this low. So that's when I was like, okay, now I think it's ready to move to the upside. Now I think is my time, because now we've just purged a short-term low right here. We're closing back inside the range, and now we have this series of down close candles right here that I'm looking at as it changes day delivery. And so once price closes above right there on that candle, the very next candle, I just market ordered in 4 contracts, right? At, let's see, what price was that? 92.75. So at 92.75 right here, stop was down here, and I was shooting for a fixed 3R, right? We'll extend that in a second. But why I liked this entry is because, one, I felt like this one was a bit forced, right? Off this down close candle. And we had just swept this low, right? And if you remember, we also have these gaps right here, right? We have these gaps. We kind of have this like breaker pattern here. High, low, low, high, lower, low, and come back above. And so we kind of have this candle here acting as a breaker as well. So you make that breaker. So inside that breaker, it's getting a little messy. Inside that breaker, we have this imbalance that overlaps. And you can see here on the 1 minute, price stays inside that imbalance and moves higher. And so when I saw that, I entered on the change of state delivery here. The price was being held here. There's also an imbalance here that it tapped into as well. So all in all, right, price is being held by these discount arrays. We're inside a breaker, change of state delivery, short-term low swept right here. So that's why I like this setup compared to the one that felt a little forced over here. So, and if I had lost this trade right here, that would have been my last one, right? I would have called it a day. But this day was a bit of a grinder, right? You can see if we kind of look ahead, I entered here, stop was here. So 92, 75, stop below the low. And I was shooting for a fixed 3R, which is about up here. And on the daily chart, right, what I saw to the upside, let me go ahead and delete all this. Oop, I want to delete all that. Just the breaker part. There we go. What I saw to the upside was this imbalance, right? I'm going to mark it out. One, we had already swept this high, right, on Thursday, and we were pushing past that. But two, I saw this imbalance up here. And so when you mark that out on the daily chart, it looks something like this, right? This imbalance over here. And you can see we come up into that, right? But it takes a while. So I'm sitting through all of this chop, this slow grinder of a day, and I haven't touched my stop, right? It's still down here. And what I end up doing is just moving or changing the time frames to like the 5 minute, right? And I start managing on the 5 minute, sitting through all this chop right here. So I'm like, okay, we're in chop. My stop's still down here. I'm still in my trade. It's chopping around. I don't want to jam it too tight, right? Because, you know, price could come down into this 5 minute imbalance, use that as support, then go higher. You can see it almost does here on this candle. So I don't want to jam my stop too tight and get stopped out early or prematurely. So I keep it down here and get rid of the execution labels. I keep it down here and I just sit through this, right? I'm just weathering the storm because today was a bit of a grinder. And you can see, right, as I sit through this, we're getting closer and closer to lunch. And so right around here, when we came up around 11:45 and closed above these down close candles right here, that's when I moved my stop. One, to break even. But then once we closed above, right, and tapped into the daily imbalance right here that I pointed out, once we tapped into that here, that's when I moved my stop to here, right? So I'll make that red. Label it stop. So the stop went from here to break even. And then once we closed above and I had this series of down close candles now protecting me, I moved my stop below this swing low, right? Below this order block. And you can see price comes up, closes above, hits the opening price, and then takes off, right? And I'm at the gym at this point. Usually around 11:30, I just close the charts. And if I'm in a trade, I'm just managing it at that point on my phone. Set alerts, do whatever I got to do. But I'm in the trade, I'm working out, and I get an alert on my phone that pings me once we hit the 50% of this imbalance, right? The consequent encroachment designated by this red line right here. So once we hit that, you can see price just starts chopping again. So we expand into that imbalance, hit the 50%, and we just start chopping again. And what I really wanted, remember, my target, my fixed 3R was up here above the imbalance, right? So if I go back and show you exactly where the target was, 92.75. It's close enough. 92.75. My 3R was like up here, right? Above the imbalance. So we can mark that out with this line right here. So this is my price target up here, this red line. And you can see we haven't gotten it, right? So I'm just sitting here watching this chop, and I end up going on a 15-minute actually. And I start managing it there because I'm starting to get lost in the lower time frame. So instead of narrowing in to get a better view, I'm zooming out, right? I want to get a better read. And so I noticed, okay, we hit this imbalance, right? And I told myself, we're getting close to the end of the day. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If we close below this imbalance, right? If we close below it and disrespect it, I'm just going to hop out. And we didn't on this pullback, right? We came back up and we swept the high of the day one last time. Okay, we made a new high of the day, but look at this candle closure here. This is what I want you to keep in mind, right? My stop is below the swing low, okay? And by the time we came up and swept this swing high, I was like, all right, I don't like this closure. I'm going to see how it closes. If it closes bad, I'm just going to hop out. Okay. And if it doesn't and closes above, well, then I want to see it expand higher to my target, obviously. And you can see here, we close back inside the range, create this wick, and we start dumping. And I was like, you know what? I should need to get out. It's time to get out. I've been in this trade all day. It's getting closer to the market close. And you can see here, I got out right when price came down and hit this imbalance. I was like, all right, it looks like it wants to just dump now and at least take out this slow. So I hopped out, market ordered and sold 4 contracts for about $10,000. And that was that, right? I ended the day up $4,595. And by the way, if you guys need any help with this stuff, whether it's trade management, finding setups, determining a bias, trading these concepts, whatever it is, there's a link in the description where you can go down and apply to work one-on-one with me. Now, I don't work with just anybody, all right? And the spots are limited. But if you need help with any of this stuff, just go down, click the link in the bio or description, and you can fill out a form, and we'll hop on a call and see if it's a good fit. So that was the trade for the day. You can see it's 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm off to enjoy my weekend, and I hope you guys have a good one as well.